Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. This is part one video for today. I'm going to be putting part one videos on this channel and part two videos on my new channel, mainly because I've only got around 600 subscribers on my new channel, so there's still a lot of subscribers still yet to move across. So I think this is the best way to put part one videos on this channel and part two videos on my new channel so you guys can slowly move across eventually. Because at the end of the day, not everyone looks at YouTube every day. Sometimes people are on holiday, sometimes people are on a YouTube break, sometimes people are suspended and they have to come back. Sometimes real life happens and they don't look at YouTube for a long time. And So I give people a chance to basically move across, as they see these videos. So this is going to be the new format: part one videos on this current channel, and part two on my new channel. So don't unsubscribe just yet. So there's still a lot of content still happening. So without further ado, let's start the show. So they've released some UFO files today. And I gotta tell you guys, this is all a big distraction. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled end of the day because this is all a big distraction. They're trying to distract you from the real issues. The real issues with the economy. They're trying to distract you from the Iranian war. They're trying to distract you from what's happening in Gaza. They're trying to distract you from what's happening in Lebanon. So people are talking about UFOs rather than actual issues that's happening in the world, like economic issues and inflation, oil prices, wars. So this is all a big psyop, guys. I mean, look at the videos they've released. What are these? They just grey. In the current climate of HD, we can have 4K videos, 8K videos. Where are they? All we see is just grainy, grey, black. They've cut, can you see the black squares? They've cut most of the stuff out, the important stuff. And some of these videos have been coming out and they've been told they are fake. They've already been debunked as fake. So this is all big psyop, guys, to distract you from what's really happening around the world. And also to distract you from asking for the real files. And I'm talking about, that guy uh, EP. I can't say the full name because just saying his name, demonetizes your YouTube channel. Yep. And ends with "in." You can kind of guess the rest. He owns an island and he does things with people. So anyway, so they can't release his files, but they can release these UFO files. But just to be honest with you guys, nobody cares about UFOs anymore. The time is gone. There was a time when people really cared about UFOs. That was a time during the Roswell incident. I don't know if you guys know about the Roswell incident. This was in the 60s and 70s, 80s. People were really interested in the UFO stuff back in those days. And but not now. People are more nowadays. People want to put food on the table. They want to keep warm. They want to look after their loved ones. There's huge economic issues. They want to pay their mortgage. They want to pay their rent. They haven't got time for UFOs and all of that. I mean, the time for UFOs is gone. Nobody cares anymore. I don't even know why they're keeping this big secret. Nobody cares, guys. That people care about their own lives. They want to survive. They want to feed their families. But yeah, it's too late for all this. I mean, look at the videos, guys. It's just black and grey. It just shows us nothing. There's nothing here that we have not seen before. Nothing. It's crazy. Don't be fooled, okay? Don't be fooled, guys. So let's talk about the real stories for today. I was going to basically talk about these military exercises happening near China by Philippines, by the United States, and by Japan. So you know, you might say these military things happen every year. There's nothing different. Well, this year is actually quite different. It's very, very different for many reasons, which I'm going to explain why. Number one, um, Tomahawk missiles make their first appearance. And not only Tomahawk missiles, but also HIMARS as well. There's lots of HIMARS missiles stationed around Philippines. And now they're testing Tomahawk missiles. They're using that as a test as well. So obviously everything's pointing towards China. Having HIMARS and having Tomahawks, you know, basically puts Chinese coastal cities at risk. It puts the island of Taiwan at risk, and also South China Sea, islands in South China Sea, and also Chinese ships at risk as well. Because if you guys know, from the Iranian war, they used the Tomahawk a lot in the Iranian war, and one of the reasons they're running out is because they use so many of these Tomahawk missiles on Iran. And and the advantages of Tomahawk missiles, you can fire them from a long distance. And that's the major, major advantage. So they don't have to fly over China. They don't have to fly over, important targets. They can fire them from a long, long distance away. And they're very accurate. Well, not that accurate because they destroyed a girls' school in Iran on the first day. But end of the day, they are accurate in terms of they will go where you point them to. Intelligence was wrong. Obviously, they pointed it to a school, and however, they have been proved to be extremely dangerous. And they can be dangerous because the planes can fly from Philippines. American planes can fly from Philippines bases. There's about I think there's about 11 bases in Philippines where there's American planes can be stationed at. And they can fly over those Philippines islands. They can fly from Guam, and they can fire Tomahawk missiles towards China, towards Chinese ships, towards Chinese islands, towards Chinese coastal cities. So they can be extremely, extremely dangerous. So the second thing we have to talk about with these military exercises is number two here is Japan. Japan, for the first time since World War II, is doing offensive exercises, and also it's kind of pushing its military might around Asia, and it's also putting its own weapons into Philippines as well. It's got its own kind of long range weapons and missiles it's putting in Philippine bases. They're jointly being used by Americans as well as Japanese. So this is a major worry because this is the first time since World War II Japan is starting to show some teeth. And this is a major, major worry for China. Stupidly enough, guys, I gotta say, stupidly enough, I'll start with basically this particular story here. Um, so stupidly enough, I want to talk about this guy. So those who have studied history will know that Japan, took over Philippines and killed a lot of Filipinos during that time. And this guy, this traitor, is now working with the Japanese. I mean, can you believe this crap? Can you believe this, guys? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Because I tell you what, when Japan gets his strength again, and looks like they are militarily, they are becoming quite strong in the region. They are not going to go after China. They are not going to go after Korea because South Korea is now under the protection of United States, and North Korea has got nuclear weapons. So they're not going to go after Korea. They're not going to go after China. Who do you think Japan is going to go after and attack? Of course, they're going to attack Philippines and they're going to start taking over Philippines again. They're going to like think they are Imperial Japan all over again. And they have to do this because Japan itself is a very, very, how would you say, earthquake prone region. They have tsunamis, they have earthquakes regularly, and they know they have got no natural resources in Japan. So they're going to have to kind of, for their own survival, they're going to have to try and find other pieces of land. This is why they tried to take over China. This is why they tried to take over Korea. So things have changed now. China's become too strong. Korea has become very, very strong. North Korea's got nuclear weapons, so they won't go near that. So the only available, islands for Japan to take over is going to be Philippines. And this idiot is working with them. I mean, can you believe this? This fool. This fool doesn't read his own history. He doesn't realize what Japan did in its recent history. It's not even that long ago, guys. It's not very long ago. We were talking good. How many years? Less than 100 years. 80 years, maybe. So he thinks. I mean, do the Filipinos not understand this? Do they not read their history? I mean, this is crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. Only going back to the story. So Japan is becoming militarized again. They are doing offensive exercises in the South China Sea alongside the Philippines and the US for the first time in their history, by the way, after Second World War. So that is the major, major danger to China. And I said in my previous videos that China should not allow Japan to rearm and re-exert itself militarily across the region. China, under no circumstances, should allow it. And if there is a war in the Taiwanese Strait, it won't be versus the island of Taiwan. I think it's going to be versus Japan. Japan is going to be probably the next war that China is going to be fighting for. They're not going to. I think with Taiwan, I think they will peacefully reunite. I hope I'm right. End of the day, anything can happen in geopolitics. You just don't know. Some maybe United States might change their wording and recognize Taiwan Island as independent, or maybe the DPP party does something really silly and declares independence. You just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen one day to the next. So you cannot predict the future. I hope that China and Taiwan reunify peacefully, and it looks like they will. I think things are going along the right way, but you never know. With somebody like Trump and in power, you just don't know, guys. You just don't know what's going to happen a year from now or 2 years from now. So one thing's guaranteed is cannot allow Japan to rearm and become Imperial Japan all over again. Cannot do that because last time China allowed Japan to arm itself and become a strong military nation, look what happened. They caused mass genocides all across Asia and including China, killed millions of people, including massacred people in Nanjing, for example, the Nanjing massacre, and it was all part of the 100-year humiliation. Caused huge amounts of damage, and they haven't paid any reparations to China, by the way. Germany has been paying reparations to the Jews for a long time now. They have paid more than 300 billion to the Jews. So far, Japan has not paid a single penny to the Chinese. So China cannot allow Japan to rearm itself again, and certainly they cannot allow Japan to have nuclear weapons because having nuclear weapons, Japan most likely will use it. They are those kind of people, absolutely evil people. If you look at the history of what they did in China, we're talking about human experimentation, the Nanjing massacre. I mean, I can't even describe the horrors that they did to the Chinese. Anyway, the point is, China cannot allow Japan to rearm, and it's within the UN Charter. It's legal to attack Japan if nations believe that Japan is becoming dangerous again and is rearming itself again. It's legal under the UN Charter to attack them, do a preemptive attack. So China would not be breaking any international law by doing this. And and I support China if they do that. And I would gladly enlist if this happens and fight against the Japanese because just cannot let Japan get rearmed, to be honest. So the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait have become the front line of strategic competition. So these exercises are basically there to stop China and Taiwan from reunifying, and also they are there to for the South China Sea as well. And I believe their plan is probably going to try and take over the islands that China has already in the South China Sea and exert total dominance over the South China Sea. That's what the Americans want to do. They want to take over that region. And that region is very, and the reason they want to take over that region is because that region is very highly sought after because of all the oil and gas deposits in the area. So whoever takes over that region is going to become extremely rich from all the gas and oil that's under there. And also, it's easy to get as well. It's not that difficult. The sea is not that deep in the South China Sea. It's quite shallow, so it won't be that difficult to get. So obviously, the Americans want a piece of that, and this is why they're causing trouble in the South China Sea. So as you can see, the advantage of Tomahawk missiles is it can evade radar, conventional radar. They fly at extremely low altitudes. They fly alongside the ground. It's extremely hard to stop. If you look at the Iran war, they have been extremely effective. They have been hitting all the targets in Iran. They haven't missed, and have caused extreme, damage all across Iran. And I believe they can cause a lot of damage to China as well. So, so I think what China needs to do is take out all the military bases in the Philippines. They're going to have to take out the military bases in Guam. They're going to have to take out military bases in Japan, and most likely take out military bases in South Korea. And also they have to take it out in Australia as well because these planes can fly from Australia, and they might even fly over Indonesia. If Indonesia allows American planes to fly over Indonesia, they can fly from Australia, refuel those jets, and fly over Indonesia and into the South China Sea. So if Indonesia allows American jets to fly over its territory, then Indonesia will have to be a target as well. So yeah, this the whole region could become could become a major war. And even if Indonesia gets dragged in, Philippines get dragged in, these are not powerful military countries, by the way. China can easily take out their bases and take out all of their military in a couple of days. They won't be able to fight back. So the other thing I was going to talk about is I've spoken about him. So as you can see here, it's the first time after 81 years they are doing this. They have deployed troops overseas in a large scale operation, and it's been 81 years since they done this after the Second World War. So extremely dangerous maneuvers happening in the South China Sea, and it's something to worry about. I mean, at the end of the day, America has shown off a lot of weaknesses fighting Iran, and China can learn from that. However, you cannot still write them off. America is still a dangerous country to be dealing with. They still have a lot of weapons. They have a huge military budget. They have lots of subs. They are still forced to be reckoned with, even though they can be beaten, but they can cause a lot of damage as well. Anyway, guys, that's it for part one. Make sure you go to part two for the second part of this video. The part two is on my new channel. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you watch the video from start to end, because that's what YouTube looks for algorithms now. You got to watch the video fully from start to end. And those are the videos that YouTube pushes out to the algorithm. Anyway, guys, take care for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.